A rational, non-fundamentalist society would reasonably say the following. Some things in an economy are probably best done by a private enterprise run by individuals in a community with minimum need for regulation or rules. Some. Then there are some things that are probably better done with some rules applied. Like food to make sure it's healthy and clean and safe, and medicine to make sure the same. We don't want that to be just governed by profit. That could lead to shortcuts that are scary. And we understand that somewhere. We have an FDA and we have all those other agencies that have had to step up. And then there are some things that the government should do as its own activity. There should be government enterprises charged with doing what they do best. And that can be figured out by trial and error, and that can be figured out by thinking. But there's no need to short circuit the difficult question of how to organize by having a fundamentalist mentality that either the one is all good or the other one is all bad or both of them. A rational society wouldn't do that, shouldn't do that. And the COVID disasters in the UK and the US should teach that lesson. And then there's a further lesson. All of our economic problems cannot be reduced to having more or less government. Because you know something? If you have a little more government or a little less government relative to private enterprises, here's what you're not dealing with. How the enterprise, whether it's private or government, is organized. Are a few people telling everybody else what to do? That's what we have now. We have it in the West with capitalism. We have it in the East with whatever you want to call the Chinese model. There it's state officials that have a big role to play. Here in the United States, it's private. But is it really different? Not much. In those societies, they have a national economic plan. Inside the big mega corporations, they have a corporate economic plan, and the mass of people do what they're told. Turns out one of the problems of modern society is that. It's not going to be solved by more or less government, more or less private. It's going to be solved by changing how the workplace is organized, whether it's private or profit. Here's a metaphor, a parallel. If you're obese and you get told, well, here's the kinds of exercises you should do. There's yoga, and then there's exercise in the gym, and then there's sports. And then you have a debate between those who want yoga and those. Stop, someone says. Beside the debate over what way to exercise your way out of obesity, there's this other issue you ought to pay attention to. It's called diet. And what you take in, that's part of it. We know that Coca-Cola and other companies want us to focus on exercise because if we focus on diet, we won't buy the Cokes. But we're not subject to that. We're rational human beings. And we ought to be able to realize we also have to change the way business is organized. If the people themselves, in all enterprise, state and private, got together, you know something? They would distribute tests to themselves. They would protect themselves. They would have demanded that the government play the role it ought to play to manage this social issue. The problems of this country are not reducible to more or less state or private. That's a way to focus people away from something else that needs change, namely the organization inside the workplace in terms of who makes the decisions and how the place is run. That, too, is an enormously important lesson from what the failures to cope with COVID have meant.